Good evening. Special greetings to the newly fully ordained, right? Two fully ordained, then others, novice monk or nun ordination. And of course, to all of you. The topic I'm supposed to talk about is the four seals, sometimes translated as four promulgations. This is a topic that I will be elaborating in my 5 days teaching in May. So, but anyway, how many of you attended my talks before? None? One or two? At least one or two, yeah. Yes. Some veterans, yeah. Okay, so I'm just out of curiosity asking. So I think whatever we do, we need to pause and ask the question, why am I doing this? Right? Number one, of course, you have every right to do whatever you like. This is my fundamental philosophy. If it doesn't harm you and harm others, you have every right to do whatever you want. That's one of my philosophy. Then on top of that, it is important also to develop the realization there are things bigger than you and me. We call it law of nature or whatever you want to call it. There are things larger than you and me. So one should not get lost just with oneself. Then, of course, to make a long story short, whatever we do, be it religious study or business or whatever we do, any human activities we do, we are supposed to be doing that primarily for happiness, right? Happiness and peace. If we think, sit down and think carefully, then we'll all agree and say, this is for my happiness and peace. When you're not so thinking, then you end up doing all these things for pleasures. Right? So this we need to know very clearly right in the beginning. Do you want just fleeting pleasures or a little bit long-lasting happiness and peace? The choice is yours. But the interesting thing is, I've asked this question to many places, in many countries, to many people. Do you want happiness? Everybody says, yes, sir, I want happiness. Then I tease them by saying, for how many days you want happiness? Then they, just as you're doing, then they, start smiling. Meaning that they want happiness as long as possible. So this wish to have long-lasting happiness and peace is not necessarily something that you have learnt from your religion. It is your innate desire. Immediately after the birth of the child, the first thing that the child does is crying. Even by crying, the child is asking for happiness. The child is saying, I have a lot of problem, I don't know how to solve it. I have no hair on my head, no teeth in my mouth, I came naked, no clothes, nobody, please help me. So at that time, the mother or whoever is caretaker, because of the love shown by that mother primarily, the child is able to survive. And the love, at that time, the child is also asking for not just love, but unconditional love. Because the child has, at that time, nothing to give back. And the mother also, whoever is the caregiver, gives that unconditional love. This is, I think, how we started our life, and this is, I think, very, very important for us to remember. Few things we need to remember. When you leave this hall, you need to take this. I want long-lasting happiness. Second, unconditional love was the source of nourishment, happy life, right from the birth. Unconditional love. Why I'm laying emphasis on this word unconditional love? Because as we grow up, then love is still there, but the love most of the time becomes business love. I love you so much, so long as you love me. This is business love, right? So Buddhism is not teaching business. Unconditional love. Unconditional love, genuine love is unconditional love. Unconditional love happens when you realize that others are exactly like me, wanting happiness, not wanting suffering. Exactly. Then why do you think you are especially important, And we do everything for oneself, whether you're educated, not educated, but you feed yourself, you clothe yourself, you do whatever you want, at least you do the running to do something for yourself, right? Year in and year out, we do that. Having said this, if somebody out of curiosity asks you this question, ma'am, I saw you taking so much care about yourself, why? You will be shocked when somebody asks you this question. Then what will be your answer? You cannot give it. You can, of course, but it is not the right answer to say that I take so much care about myself because I am a very famous Buddhist monk, or I did my PhD, or I'm a scientist. You can give all kind of answers, but that's not the right answer. The right and correct answer is, I do so much about myself because I want happiness, do not want suffering. Right? If this is the case, then you should also equally take care of others because they also want happiness, do not want suffering. When you put this point forward, then they will try to be clever, and they will say, yeah, that is true, but who am I to take care of their happiness and suffering? They'll take care of themselves, I'll take care of myself. We think like that. When you think like that, you are really thinking, in terms of as if there is no connection between you and others, which is absolutely not true. Because whether you know other people or not, you are connected to others, directly, indirectly. Especially in today's world, when we are thrown into the face of each other through the speed of science and technology, When you have your breakfast in America, lunch in Europe, and dinner in India, things like that, And then with the internet, mobile phone, we are so closely connected. And then the earth we share, environment in which we live, This is our only home. The moon and other planets may look nice, but I don't think you will find a better place other than this earth to go there. So these are like, whether you call it Buddhist teaching or not Buddhist teaching, that doesn't make sense. But what I'm trying to say right in the beginning is, our life is in such a way that harming others is harming yourself. Whether it's between country to country, person to person, whatever. If you're harming others, you're harming yourself. If you're harming the environment, you are harming yourself and everybody. We need to develop this kind of larger global awareness and consciousness. The time has come. It's very, very urgent, because on the one hand we have these tools given by science, mobile phone and other technologies in our hand, right? And because of this, we are all distracted to whatever is there in that mobile phone. And we go more and more outward. Now, artificial intelligence is also waiting. You will get more. I'm not saying they are totally nonsense and no benefit at all, because I don't have that knowledge to make that point. But all I'm saying is, I am pretty sure that we'll get, unless we have some inner resources, we will get more and more distracted towards outside. And the danger with that kind of approach is, as we have already known during the COVID-19 experience, when we face some threat, some problem, difficult to deal with, and at that time the only thing that will become useful is if you have these inner resources to pull out. And during COVID-19, even in developed countries, many young people committed suicide. Because Normally they are always outward going, You eat outside, lunch is outside, dinner is outside, moving with friends, and then suddenly you said, okay, stay within your room. When your lockdown happened, people don't know how to live. That is the tragedy. It has been tragedy since ages. Some of the Tibetan teachers, a long time back, they said the problem with us human beings is we don't know how to live with others and also don't know how to live alone. We should be good in one of these two things. You see? Either you should know how to live with others, with love, with kindness, with compassion, with harmony, or like the great meditators, few great meditators, you should know how to go within yourself, explore the richness of your, internal qualities, and just be happy as if you are already achieved Nirvana, enlightenment. You are happy. You don't have to do much with others. So whatever be the case, we need to seriously develop these inner qualities. This is nothing to do with a particular religion. The word spirituality is even better than the word religion. Spirituality, something to do with our inner core, human spirit, human mind, loving kindness, compassion, harmony, patience, forgiveness, the universal spiritual qualities must be there. Because it is in our gene. For your health, physical health, mental health, friendship, if you have these inner qualities, even when you encounter all these ups and downs in life, you will still be able to maintain your sanity. These days people have, started asking the question, what should be the education system in, let us say, in year 2050 or something like that? There's no proper answer. Because things are changing at such a great speed, you have no idea what will be the situation in 2050. And all the things that you have learned right now, be it technology or other things, skills that you have learned, may be outdated at that time. You might lose your job, which happened in many countries already. So at that time, how will you maintain your sanity? You will be able to maintain your sanity only if you have these inner resources. And of course, we don't have to wait until 2050. Even right now, suddenly one of your best friend, family member dies, your most beloved son, daughter, brother, sister dies. If you don't have these inner resources, if you have no understanding of the larger perspective, again you will die of shock. Right? So therefore, in order to, if you really want that long-lasting happiness, then the main cause for that long-lasting happiness is not outside, it is within you. You need to explore, recognize, strengthen these inner qualities so that whatever is happening, you are happy. It's not easy. We need training, but it is possible. Just like His Holiness Dalai Lama. He lost his country, he's now almost like 90, still smiling and helping people, Right? So that is really important because, sometimes, with this modern science and technology, especially the misuse of technology, false science and technology falls in the hand of some lunatics, which is already happening. The world is now, I think, something like 20,000 atom bombs. How many people can be killed just by one atom bomb? Imagine. Here we need Buddhist teaching because Buddhist teaching says you don't have to kill people, they'll die. Such a simple, profound wisdom, Really, if when we don't think carefully, then you think, especially if you get some money, some name, some fame, then you get puffed up, I'm somebody special, But if you really look carefully, look at this body, Outside it looks okay because it's plastered with the skin, and then especially if you use some nice creams, it maybe look nice. But inside, go inside. how the lungs function, how the internal organs function, they're all fragile. According to the modern system of packaging also, anything that is fragile is packed nicely. So clearly showing that we are fragile because everything is packed nicely. This is called impermanent. In Buddhism we call it impermanent, meaning fragility. So when people are already fragile, already prone to problems, sufferings, even if you are unable to reduce a little bit of their suffering, you should not become an extra burden. Right? So if you live the life properly, your life may be just for 2 days. Okay, no problem. Some of the flowers, they are there for 2 days. And during these 2 days, they make everybody happy, They give that fragrance, they look at the color, then gone. There is a story of once having a debate between the flower and the thorn that comes with the flower. The thorn despised the flower and said, what kind of life, miserable life you have? You are here only for 1 or 2 days and then you disappear, you fall. Look at me, the thorn, I've seen many of your generation, still see, strong. If anybody tries to touch me, I prick them, send them away. Then the flower said, yes, you may have been living very long, but you have been source of problem for everybody. I was here for maybe 1 or 2 days, but I made everybody happy. That is it. Because many people think, if I live very, very long, then I can achieve something. No. Number one, because you are not so sure how long you are going to live. And if you misuse your life, no point living very, very long. I'm not saying you commit suicide, but there's really not much point, Right? Right? So there was a story of a gentleman who lived for 1,000 years. And when he was 1,000 years old, the Lord of the Death came and he said, hey, you lived very long. It's time to go. You need to die. Then the old man said, yes, I know I lived very long, but in the course of his 1,000 years, he married 100 wives and has over 100 children. And some of them are really over 800 years or 700 years like that, you see, respectively. So the old man said, yes, I know I lived very long, but I don't want to go, so take one of my sons. So the Lord of the Death goes to the eldest son. The eldest son also says the same thing, take the next one. Goes everybody is reluctant to die. And finally the Lord of the death or messenger of the death goes to the youngest one who was only 15 years old. Do you want to go? And he said, yes, I want to go. He was very excited. And then the messenger of the death was confounded. He said, since your father and all your elder brothers are so reluctant to go, why you get so excited? He said, I'm very excited because if my father and brothers didn't get anything after living so long, I don't think I'm going to get anything by living long. That's an old Indian story, It gives a very beautiful message, So important to live a meaningful, happy life. And that happy life has to start today, right now, not tomorrow. Not after you finish your study or after you're married, no. Right now, be happy. And there are many reasons to be happy. Many reasons to be happy, because now you are a human being with this amazing capacity to think, and you are the only animal in the world who is able to smile and show the teeth and hug somebody and shake the hand, right? And then this great intelligence, no other animals have that. And the only animal that's able to, go straight, straight on the 2 legs and use mobile phone, call, so many things, so many different features, right? So that intelligence must be used to find the long-term causes for happiness and peace. And this language and speech must be used for dialogue and negotiation when there is a problem, when there is a disagreement. If there is a disagreement between the tigers and lions, then they cannot say, let us sit down and talk, because they don't have their language. So the only thing they can do is pounce upon each other and try to tear each other apart. But in our case, we have this very sophisticated language. So if there is a problem, don't get angry. Say, please, let us sit down and talk. Anything can be solved. So in the international politics, we need to have that kind of thinking. Not that, if you do this, I'll bomb you, kill you. Look at what is happening between Russia and Ukraine, what is happening in the Middle East and elsewhere. It's unfortunate. Very unfortunate. So therefore all of us should consider we are lucky. We are lucky because, number one, I really, honestly speaking, I don't feel like talking much, because talking to people like you is like preaching to the convert. Only good people come. People who want to do nasty, negative things, they are somewhere else. They will not come. So you're already good. So I really compliment you, appreciate you. You are making your life meaningful. But of course, there is not the end of the story. You have to make more effort to refine yourself, improve yourself. So that's why it's wonderful Tushita organizes this kind of teachings on and off, which will benefit many people. So the only way to solve international or national or problems in the society is us, individuals. We need to create this ripple effect. So we should not say that I'm not president, I'm not prime minister, I have no. Some people say, in this world, you're just like a cog in the wheel, there's nothing you can do. When the giant wheel moves, you also have to move. I don't agree with that. If you're a cog in the wheel, if the cog comes apart, the giant wheel will stop. So we should never lose our, hope and expectation, and be happy that if you are able to bring smile on the face of even one person. That's what I try to do. I know nothing better than you, but I practice a little bit of how to make people a little bit smile, over a cup of tea, whatever, that's it. That we can all do. And once your mind is happy, you can do anything. When your mind is disturbed, you can't forget about concentration. Forget the wisdom that they will speak here. You'll not be able to even get sleep. Right? So therefore, the real enemy is not outside, it is within us. If there is an external enemy, however horrible that external enemy may be, we can still run away from that person, hide from that person. Or if caught, plead, please spare my life, I'll do whatever you say. But with this internal enemy of negative emotions, where are you going to run away? And especially we human beings have this tendency of thinking that anything that is there within you is good. If I ask you, is anger good? You will say anger is not good. But if I say, why did you get angry yesterday? Then you will say, there is a reason. This is how we try to justify our wrongdoings, you see. Right? Right? So, right? So therefore, one thing that we need to seriously know, whether you call it concentration, meditation, morality, there are so many things to be studied, but the target of all your Buddhist practice is, whether you do Sutric practice or Tantric practice, whatever, recite mantra, meditation, whatever you do, the target is how to defeat this internal enemy of afflictive emotions. And they are not going to go away so easily, because you are habituated with this negative emotions for so long, according to Buddhism, for many lives. So therefore, even if you are able to reduce a little bit of the intensity of these negative emotions, for example, if you are a very hot-tempered person, then after attending these teachings, or through your life's experiences, if you are able to reduce the strength of that negative emotion, like anger, a little bit, you will be happier. That actually is a miracle. Miracle is not just opening a third eye or the forehead, things like that. If you're really, really, even if you're able to fly, there's nothing. We're all, birds have been flying for so long, There's nothing, If you're able to reduce your negative emotions a little bit, negative computation, jealousy, anger, hatred, So there it's important for us not only read Buddhist books, but use your common sense. For example, anger. Is there anybody who right in the morning makes a motivation and plan saying, today I will get angry? Anybody? No, that means you have some idea that anger is not good. But unfortunately, in the course of the day, you meet some strange people or you get tired, whatever you do, get angry sometimes and then pick up a fight with somebody. Having done that at the close of the day, having returned to your home, when you reflect back and realize that you got angry and fought with somebody, is there anybody who says that today I fought with somebody, I was angry, so I really enjoyed my day? Nobody there, right? Then all of us want to be a presentable person. We adorn ourselves with nice ornaments and use cosmetics and make sure that your collar is upright and make sure that hair is combed, things like that. And after adorning yourself, if you get angry, with gold earrings, you get angry, You're not handsome anymore. You're not beautiful anymore. And even if you don't have any of these decorations, ornaments, if you have this smile on your face, you look very handsome, just like the Buddha statue, or you look at His Holiness Dalai Lama statue. He doesn't use any makeup. Right? So, and this smile, genuine smile, I'm not talking about any kind of smile, because there are politician smiles, sarcastic smiles, I'm not talking about genuine smile. The genuine smile comes when you are mentally really peaceful and calm. And when you are really peaceful and calm, I read it in a text by the Buddha himself in the sutra. When your mind is really calm, then there is proper blood circulation throughout your body, proper flow of energy. And because of this proper circulation of blood, your face will also look radiant because of the blood, right? Then you're a handsome person, beautiful women, things like that. And once you are able to develop this kind of inner beauty, which is reflected in the external beauty, that's real beauty. No thieves can steal, no robbers can rob. Your other ornaments, when you put, gold earrings, somebody may be watching there, you see. There are cases, sometimes some looters, they just snatch your gold chain, things like that. Right? So there are 100,000 qualities of inner qualities. The external collections, when you travel also, they all become excess baggage. And Buddha said, don't keep excess baggage. Nobody listened. Now at the airport, they will tell you, Madam, sorry, excess baggage. You can't take more than 15 kilos. You have to pay for it, you see. If you don't listen to Buddha, that is why I'm saying this? Because truth is truth, If you don't listen to truth from wherever it is coming, you will have to suffer. Right? So there are so many things like that. So therefore, the point that I'm making is, try to practice unconditional love. Appreciate this extremely rare, possibility to have this precious human life. Recognize it. Take good care of yourself. Right? When we meet and separate, then say, bye, take care. Right? Nobody says, bye, I'll take care of you. This is teaching of the Buddha. Buddha said, self is the protector of the self, no one else can be the protector. Self is the enemy of the self, no one else can be the enemy. We are very fond of, pointing to someone else. But the truth is, those that are outside of you, whether you like it or not, you have not much control. The only thing over which you have control is how would you react to the events, situations happening to you, due to other people, due to sunshine, due to snow, Right now, for example, it's quite cold. Now when you experience this coldness, there are only two ways of reacting to it. One, you start cursing the coldness. Go hell with this cold weather in Dharamsala. You get angry. You stamp your foot on the ground. Hit on the table. Just by doing this, will the cold weather say, Madam, sorry, I'll be a little bit warmer. I'll become a little bit warmer. It will not say. You're creating unnecessary problem upon yourself. So instead of getting angry, you understand, okay, this is winter, And also now, because of our own doing, climate is changing. So I better wear warm clothes, things like that, you see. So how would you react to the changing situations, events? That is in your hand. Not other people. Not that is outside of you, the weather or whatever. So the point that I'm making is there are things you can change, there are things you cannot change. Things you can change, don't worry, because you can change. It may take some time, you may have to make some effort, but you can change. Things you can't change, no use wasting your time. For example, if I have lost my left hand, there are only two ways of dealing with that. One is for the rest of my life I should think how miserable I am. I have lost my left hand, and feel miserable and feel sad for the rest of the life. By doing that, will the left hand come back? No. So instead of thinking about that, you think about the right hand. You have the right hand, which is the one which does most of the writing and responsible for doing many things. There are many people who don't have not only the two hands but also two legs. I have seen myself people who have both the hands and legs are missing. Still they are trying to live with smile. So positive, think about the good side, not only about complaining, Oh, I'm so unfortunate. I am not Bill Gates, huh? Oh, I am so unfortunate. I lost my Tibet, If I keep on counting all this, then I can make myself very sad. You see? So I keep on talking this kind of thing. So sometimes people chase me by saying, Geshe, you've been talking about happiness. Are you really happy? You've been saying this to other people. Are you really happy? Then, then I tell them, yes, I'm happy. Why? Don't you live alone? See, happiness means you have to live with somebody, for some people. Do you live alone? Yes, I said, I live alone. Are you still happy? Yes, I'm happy. Why? Because I have a place to live. There's no war going on here in Dharamsala. And I have something to eat. And I'm surrounded by good friends here and there, you see. So I'm happy. What else you want, you see? So it's a state of mind. So there should be kind of contentment. The contentment doesn't mean you should not make effort. You should make effort, try your best to achieve whatever you want to achieve. But if unable to achieve, then okay, I tried. Didn't come, so I'm not going to waste my life for those things which I could not achieve. There's so many other things I need to do, you see. So like that. So mental attitude is very, very important. Okay, so this is just a little bit precursor to my talk. And the point that we are basically talking about is the four seals taught by the Buddha. When the Buddha got enlightened, okay, now let us recall that tomorrow is the 15th of the special month. And for the next 15 days, it is said that the Buddha performed many miracles. And he performed these many miracles because at his time there were many non-Buddhist teachers also living, especially the 6 non-Buddhist teachers. So Buddha became so famous, everybody was following him and going to him and making all the offerings through him, and hardly anybody visiting the other teachers. So they got jealous. They said, we must do something. Then they said, let us ask him to, engage with us in a competition of showing miracles, and whoever wins then will be the boss. Something like that. So then this performance happened. In the beginning, these non-Buddhist teachers, they contacted Bimbisara, who was a very close friend of the Buddha, and who used to say, whenever I go to see the Buddha, I really feel like I'm sitting at the foot of a huge tree which giving shadow. I feel so peaceful and comfortable. So they were very good friends. So this non-Buddhist teacher goes to him and requests that please organize a miracle competition. I said, what? You're going to compete with Buddha? You get lost, you stupid bunch of fellows. Something like that. He drove them away. And then again they approached. Then he said, if you come here for a third time, I'll punish you like anything. Then, they go to a next teacher. The next teacher somehow organizes this miracle and makes the request to the Buddha. And then the Buddha said that my teaching is for benefiting others and not harming others, not accumulating any negative deeds and sins. It's not for performing miracles. I can't do this. Then repeated request was made, and then on this he said, okay, then we'll start doing this from 15th. And then these non-Buddhist teachers, they said, okay, 15th, why he is choosing this 15th? He's choosing this because he will get some time so that he will run away. So it's a very, very interesting story. So anyway, the miracle happened. The Buddha, won the competition, things like that. So now here, the one point that you need to know, what do you mean by miracle? Here, according to Buddhist philosophy, miracle is a meditative stabilization. It's your concentrated power that you are able to physically perform, many things, like emanating water from your body, or making your body disappear, or emanating fire from your body, and emanating, a huge conflagration of fire that the whole building with the Buddha and everybody is, engulfed by that, fire, but then suddenly everybody comes out intact, no damage done, things like that. There are so many stories like that. So it's miracle here, the English word I don't know, but if the Tibetan philosophy, miracle means meditative concentration. This is different from emanation. Miracle is more of the mind, emanation is what is done by physically. Again, this is a huge subject to be studied, just for your knowledge. So anyway, so the point that I'm making is, so in this month, such competitions and teachings from Buddha happened, and because of this, later on, the great teacher Tsongkhapa, he reinstated this practice of teaching and prayers for 15 days. And it is said that Tsongkhapa one day also got a dream that he saw so many people around him flying into the space and disappearing. And then in the dream he says, why all these people are, where all these people are going? He said, because you did all these amazing things, they are all going to heaven, something like that, So meaning that this is a very special opportunity to collect merit. There are of course many special occasions, but in the Buddhist text, 4 special occasions were mentioned, like when the Buddha got enlightened, things like that. Okay, so occasion is also very important. Place is also important. Company is also important. Right? So therefore, it's wonderful that we are here together during this very important occasion. And so, with regard to these 4 seals, after Buddha got enlightened, completely enlightened, when he was requested to give the teaching by human beings and celestial beings, he did not accept it immediately. He said, I have found something which is profound, peaceful, free from fabrication, clear light, unconditioned. To whomever I teach, and nobody will understand it. Don't disturb me, let me just continue my meditation. He did this few times. There is a reason to do that. There may be several reasons. One reason is that he was, of course, very confident of his teaching, and the teaching that he found was really profound, as he said. Profound, peaceful, unconditioned, clear light, all those things are there. So, as he was saying, it is not that easy for people to understand it. The second reason was, he wanted people to, regard his teaching as something very precious, and not to take it lightly. If you want to understand Buddha's teaching, there should be some seriousness. It's not just listening to a story. Right? Seriousness means you really wish to remove your negative emotion, reduce your suffering, get more happiness, get enlightened. With this kind of determination, you should listen to the teaching. So therefore, the Buddha did not quickly accept it to give the teaching. Then again, the human beings and the celestial beings said, yes, we know that your teaching is profound, very profound. But among human beings also there are some who are quite intelligent. So they may be able to understand a little bit. Please give the teaching. So when he gave the teaching, the first teaching that he gave us, the teaching on the Four Noble Truths, out of which the first was the truth of the suffering. This is important, truth of the suffering. This is important. This is important because I tell you a story. At the time of the Buddha, there was a monk by the name Malukya. He had already received some teachings from the Buddha. So one morning he was sitting in his meditation heart, and he started thinking, the Buddha was very kind to me, I received a lot of teachings from him, but still there are a number of topics on which he did not answer. So unless he gives all the answers to all these questions, I will not feel comfortable to continue to follow him. I may go to other teachers. So with this mind, he goes to the Buddha and says those things. Then Buddha said, first of all, who told you to be my student? I'm not looking for a student. Then as an answer to his question, he said, look, if somebody shoots an arrow from an unknown distance and hits your body, you are struck with the body, with that arrow on your body, and you are bleeding, what will you do? Will you immediately take the arrow out and do the needed medication? Or you refuse to take that arrow out, instead ask all the philosophical questions related to this event. Who must have shot the arrow? What was how tall the person who shot the arrow? How strong was his arm? Whether he is a moustache or not? And when the arrow was on the way, what was the speed? By what material stuff the bow and arrow made of? You can, even to this small event, you can ask 100 questions, If you say, unless I get all these answers, I'm not going to take medication, long before you get the answer, you will be a dead person. So therefore, I'm not answering when did the universe started, where there is a life after death, all those complicated questions. I see so many sufferings among people, among sentient beings. So my job is to help reduce their suffering. So therefore, the first teaching that he gave was the Four Noble Truth, out of which the first was truth of the suffering. Now when he gave the teaching on the truth of suffering, it was taught with 4 features. The first feature was impermanence, which is also the first seal. All conditioned things are impermanent. This is very, very important. All conditioned things are impermanent. Whatever comes together will fall apart. If you don't want to die, don't be born. That very birth itself is the cause of death. You see, so don't be shocked, don't be surprised, accept all this reality. All conditioned things are impermanent. So that was his first teaching. Then these four seals are supposed to have been taught by him when he was about to die. When he was passing away, he called some of his close students and he said, If you have any question about the Four Noble Truth, about the dependent origination, about the two truths, ask me. And then he finally gives this teaching on the four seals. So the point I'm making is the first teaching that he gave us on impermanence, and one of the last teachings that he gave us on impermanence. This is very important. If you don't have a proper understanding of that, you will not make a move. We can talk about dharma practice and so many things, but you will not make a move, because you will plan to continue to stay in the samsara. You will not try to make a move. For example, right now, you are visiting Dharamsala. Have you tried to buy a plot of land somewhere? Somewhere here? Some land, some house somewhere here. Unless you plan to stay here, you will not buy a plot of land or house. You prepare to go wherever you came from. So similarly, when you have this understanding of impermanence, you prepare for your journey. Whether your air ticket is confirmed, things like that, you see. So that's very important. That's really the motivating factor. So out of many types of impermanence, here we are primarily talking about the impermanence. Here primarily talking about the death. Right? Death. If you want to understand life, understand death. Not just Buddhist teaching, let me read some of the Western thoughts. It's a very, very beautiful teaching, so I'm tempted to read it so that you hear both the sides of the story. The problem we are facing today. The loss of collective societal myths having to do with death and dying. That's what we are facing today. Second, the systematic devaluation of anything to do with the spiritual side of humans. We live in a materialistic world. So we hardly pay attention to the mind, to the spirit, the invisible things. We only focus on the concrete, material things. Prior to the publication of Life After Life in 1975, the term near-death experience did not even exist. That's from Western point of view. Physicians called it the Lazarus syndrome, a medical pathology. So many of the Thukdam practice that Tibetans are talking about, at that time they might say this is a Lazarus syndrome, a medical pathology. Hallucination from drugs or a lack of oxygen to the brain. Right? But they begin to realize that something very spiritual happens to us when we die. See, this is the finding. Gradually, in the beginning, okay, this is like a medical problem. Now gradually they are saying something very spiritual is happening. Dr. Moody's work reminded us that we are at our very core, spiritual beings. And the fact that a loving light greets us when we die is proof of that. In Buddhism, in Tantric practice, we call it clear light mind. Many of those people who wrote books, on near-death experiences, they have always, most of them have written that you enter into a light of tunnel and you are received by that tunnel, which is very soothing, very welcoming. Okay? Earlier, death became unnatural, dirty. Nobody wants to die, right? Death became unnatural. Actually, it is natural. Death became dirty. There's nothing dirty. Death means death of the body. There's no death of the mind. But we don't know this, so therefore death is dirty. And death is medicalized and hidden from the public view. The more and more we say we live in a developed country, the more it's difficult to see dying people. Whereas most people died at home in the 1800s, by the mid-20th century, most people died in hospitals. Death was something that was not discussed. Dying patients are subjected to the loving lie. And then people were suffering from, because of this loving lie, people were suffering from loneliness and isolation that our societal fear of death caused them. Healthcare establishment dedicated to saving life, this is another important point. Healthcare establishment dedicated to saving life, not facilitating death. Dedicated to saving life is okay, but it should also facilitate death. But that is not happening. Instead of death simply being, now the important point we need to understand is, instead of death simply being the extinction of life, according to his documentation, he documented that it is a spiritually dynamic time with life transforming insights. Because death is summary of life. It's very intense. When on your deathbed, when you're passing away, your love is more intense. Whatever you experience, hear a prayer, it's more intense. Listen to a music, it is more intense. You become totally a changed person. I read this story of this gentleman who is guardian of that kind of, at the crematorium near Ganges river. There's a kind of sadhu who has a little house there to look after all those dying people. They come there. For example, I remember some story. There was one guy who was sure he's going to die soon. He came there and he pleaded that, can you please call my brother? We had a misunderstanding and we divided the house with a wall. So before I die, I want to destroy this wall. Things like that. You completely change your thinking and see the uselessness of how you misused your life. Right? Then if you read this, The Will of Life, a memoir of living and dying by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, it's a best-selling book on death and dying. If you live each day of your life right, this is the point. Echoing the Buddhist teaching, if you live each day of your life right, then you have nothing to fear. Rest of my life, then therefore she decided, rest of my life, I'm going on explaining that death does not exist in that sense. Modern medicine offering a life free of pain is nonsense. The only thing that truly heals people is unconditional love, which I said right in the beginning. When you are on your deathbed, you are surrounded not by howling, crying, shouting people, but surrounded by really loving people. Right? It's very important. So therefore, if you have somebody who is really on the deathbed and dying, don't try to disturb that person. You put the image of a Buddha if it's a Buddhist, or image of Jesus if it's a Christian, or even a guitar, something that brings peace in the mind of that person. So don't disturb that person. Make sure that he dies peacefully, so that he has a very smooth transit to the next life. Okay? Throughout life, we get clues that remind us of the direction we are supposed to be headed in. Where? Death. If you do not pay attention, so this is what he's saying. Day and night, we are running towards death. Even when we are sleeping, we are moving towards death. There's a beautiful stanza by one Tibetan master where he says, right from the birth, you don't have the control to pause even for a moment. And you are running with the greatest speed at the foot of the Lord of the Death. Therefore, even though you call yourself alive, but you are on the national highway to death. Alas, is this plight of the criminal led to the place of execution. And in this other quotation from the 400 verses, those of you who are interested, please read the first 4 chapters of 400 verses by Aryadeva, which explains the 4 seals so beautifully. This book, 400 verses, is one of my most favorite book. So there he says, whoever you are, the so-called life or being alive is just one moment. One moment of the mind, you are saying you are alive. And people don't know this. Therefore, there's nobody who knows themselves. We will say, of course, I know myself, but you don't know yourself. Because you don't know how long you are living. So if you are to be scared about death, you should be scared every day, because every day you are dying. Parts of your body are changing every day. Now scientifically they say after every 7 years, you are completely means completely, you are completely, different person. Complete transformation of your body takes place. There is this story of a criminal who had heard about this. He was imprisoned, and after 7 years he said, now I am completely different person, please release me from the prison. So that is the advantage of knowing the reality, you see. So now in my case, I'm 70 now, So I already really died the real death 7 times already. Right? So there's nothing to be scared, everything has to be understood. It's a question of understanding, not just getting scared. Okay, there's so many things to read, I'll not read everything. So the first seal is anything that is conditioned is impermanent. Anything that is conditioned, impermanent, it's good news, bad news also. Bad news, of course, all the good conditioned things that are conditioned will also go. Bad news. And good news means impermanence not only means death and destruction, it also means flexibility, change, possibility to change. If things were static, permanent, there's nothing you can do. Your fate is sealed and decided, but that's not the case. So it's really like impermanence is like the stream, Stream. If you know how to, swim with the flow, it will be all right. Right? So that is the meaning, impermanence. Anything conditioned. So don't get shocked when things change. Okay? Second seal is all contaminated things are suffering. Contaminated here means the negative emotions, afflictive emotions. Anything, whether it's an object or subjective mind, whatever, so long as it has this touch of negative emotion, it will lead to suffering. For example, if I see in the object, if I see a very attractive, beautiful Mercedes car, then how nice if I get this Mercedes car and develop this obsession, attachment, that object is called contaminated object. Right? Then also because of your thinking, the subjective mind, negative emotions also arise. Then also because of past conditioning. So there are many causes for this. Right? So if you don't want suffering, then don't keep in touch with the contaminated things or negative emotions, as I already said earlier. Right? Third seal is all phenomena are empty and selfless. This is talking about the profound Buddhist philosophy. All things are empty can be explained from the viewpoint of all the 4 Buddhist schools, Vaibhashika, Sautantika, Chittamatra, and then Madhyamika. So here you can, explain the meaning of emptiness according to their own philosophical system. But according to the highest system, which talks about both the selfness of the person and selfness of the phenomena, the Prasangika Madhyamika is saying that any phenomena, any existent phenomena, all phenomena means any existent phenomena, be it impermanent, be it permanent, anything that is conceivable, anything that is existing does not have independent, inherent existence. This is important. Now, why do we need to know this? We need to know this because although this is the way things are, but our ignorant mind sees things as having inherent independent existence. Therefore, we develop anger and hatred to some, and love and attachment to others. For example, if I like something, again the Mercedes car, if I like this Mercedes car, I will not only think this Mercedes car is good, but I will think, wow, this is 100% good. Look at the color, look at the model, look at the space inside. All those things, you exaggerate. Because of this exaggeration, you tend to develop obsession and develop strong attachment to that object. Then you get problem. That is called development of attachment. Contrarily, when you don't like something, for example, to the Tibetans, the Chinese leaders, I would not say Chinese people, but I would say Chinese leaders. Because we don't like Chinese leaders, because they, thrown us out of our country. So therefore I would think, the Chinese leader, they are like embodiment of all the negativities. It's impossible to have dialogue and negotiation with them. They are 100% horrible. They are not human beings. Most of us Tibetans might think like this, but then people who have dharma, who have understanding, like His Holiness the Dalai Lama, he says, let us dialogue, let us have negotiation. Don't just keep on talking about the past history. Leave it to the past history, leave it to the historians. World is changing. Globalization is taking place. The whole Eastern European country, which used to be communist, changed. France and Germany, they were like sworn enemy, ready to cut each other's throat some years back. Now they are together in European Union, using same monetary system. This is amazing. This is what His Holiness is saying. So important is future. We have to live on the same globe. In the case of Tibet and China, we are neighbors. So if you solve the problem through negotiation and dialogue, that's a real solution. But if you keep on killing each other, today you may win, next day the other side will win. You see? So that will be like endless violence. That's not the solution. Right? So therefore, don't see anything having, unchangeable, independent, inherent existence. In Buddhism, we call it shunyata or emptiness. So emptiness is not equal to nothingness. Emptiness means empty of independent existence. Emptiness is like the mathematical zero. Zero, if I say I have zero money in my pocket, which means you have no money at all, but in mathematical calculation, zero is the foundation of all higher calculations. Without zero, you can't have 10, 100 things like that. Right? So therefore, Nagarjuna in one of his texts beautifully says, to whom emptiness is possible, everything is possible. To whom emptiness is not possible, nothing is possible. Because emptiness means empty of independent existence. That means things exist. Things exist, everything is possible. Things exist and they have a dependent existence. Therefore, depending on causes and conditions, you can produce anything. That's what he is saying. So all phenomena, without exception, empty and selfless. Okay? And the last is Nirvana is peace. Nirvana is peace. Nirvana is peace through understanding that the root cause of samsara is ignorance. And through understanding that this ignorance, which is the root cause of samsara, is not just lack of knowledge, but misconception of reality. And that misconception must be removed through wisdom, realizing the way things are. Using the wisdom, realizing emptiness. And once you uproot that ignorance with the seed, that's liberation. So liberation is not a special place where you go, travel. It's a state of your mind. Even right now, you may not have attained nirvana, but if you move a little bit towards that direction, reduce your negative emotion a little bit, you are very likely to get a small glimpse of that liberation, that nirvana, that peace, that happiness. So that's the meaning. fossils, briefly speaking. Okay? That's nature injury. Shiva. Okay, I'll stop here. Ask some questions. If no questions, then we will disperse. Yeah. Yes, please. Yeah. Oh, wonderful. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Mm. Yeah, yeah. This is hard to answer because this is happening in all the school curriculums. You know, very rigorous. But this rigorous curriculum here is just for 1 week or so. That is tolerable. But the main question is how rigorous you should be in your day-to-day life. I suppose that's the question. So there I would say, yes, you need to make continuous effort. That is for sure. You need to make continuous effort. But in Buddhism, effort means having delight in one's mind. Delight. Effort is not striving blindly, pushing yourself at the edge, torturing yourself. No, that is not asked by Buddha. Although Buddha, undertook 6 years kind of penance. But after that he said, this was going to the extreme. He concluded this is going to the extreme, so therefore he chose the middle way. Don't follow the one extreme of self-mortification, and also don't lead a pampered life of luxury. In between. That's the answer, in between. You should, as you're a human being, you are not enlightened being, so we all also need the rest, a little bit fun, jumping, singing, whatever, That's okay. But as I always say, your spiritual practice should be like moving on the national highway. Right? The main road. You should always be moving, but that doesn't mean to say that you can't have a break to have tea and lunch and dinner, things like that. So, so all these things, you see. And then especially this mind, we call it monkey mind, So you need to be a little bit tactful and skillful in bringing this mind to the right direction. Effort must be there. Effort, in the Buddhist teaching, it is said that effort must be like the flow of a river. In the case of flow of river, it will flow continuously 24 hours. It will not say, okay, it's now daytime, I will flow. It's now night time, I will rest. The water will not say, it will continue to flow. So that means continue. Then there will be progress. But if you expect that I attend this 5 days course, I make this short-lived attempt, and then you expect this, boom, there is enlightenment? No. In fact, there is a Tibetan teacher who said, for the first 1 or 2 days, you are so excited, you even forget to eat food, you practice very hard, and after 3 days, you forget all your practice and forget everything. Such a person will get nothing. So continuity must be there, and with a joyful heart. You need to like it. Many people ask this question, I want to do meditation, I want to do this, I'm not able to do. Oh, what is your answer, Geshe Lhakdor? I always tell them, you have to like it. Like a singer, like a player. When somebody likes singing, somebody likes playing, they are unstoppable. Whenever they find time, they will sing, they will play. Whereas in our spiritual practice, unfortunately, the thing is, you will say, I'll do my spiritual practice when I have ended doing all my, mundane activities. So that means you are living that spiritual practice as the least important thing. When you have nothing else to do, then you will do the practice. No, that's the most important thing. Because at the end of the day, it is your mind which is ordering you, which is dictating you what to do, what not to do. So if you don't handle properly that mind, you will be led into negative direction. So that's the most important thing. Okay, yeah. Any other questions? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's crucial to take a long period of withdrawal and focus on meditation to achieve liberation and enlightenment?
No, you need to plan those properly, because as I said, sometimes they say some people say I'm very interested with my spiritual practice. Then you forget the responsibilities of your family. You leave your wife behind, and then also you adopt a little bit the manner of some Buddhist monk, or with different hair and different. This is like fooling oneself. You see, really the important things. So wherever you go, occasionally, yes, occasionally you should charge yourself with your family, if you have family, or just yourself, 1 week, 2 weeks, or possible 1 month, 2 months. Then of course you have to go back and earn your bread, you see, to be practical. But if somebody who is completely independent and also nothing have to worry about your financial resources, then of course you can then spend a lot of time doing those spiritual practices. But here also I think don't fool yourself, because sometimes, when there is nobody making problem, you have enough money to sit alone, looks good, But then you are not so sure how much spiritual progress you are making, and you are not any more useful to the community. I would not recommend that. I would not recommend that. Right? Because sometimes what we do is, you don't care about the people who are living around you. And then you pretend, I believe in the God who you have never seen, the Buddha who you have never seen. And you are ready, it's happening in the world today. You are ready to kill this fellow sitting in front of you who is living, breathing and smiling. Don't care about this person, and then pretending that you care about the dictate of this so-called Almighty God or Buddha sitting somewhere high. I call this just stupid. First believe in things that you see, and then that will give you the way to the unseen energy. Right? Yeah, yeah.
How do you use emptiness?
Yeah.
Truth of emptiness? Because, for example, for an object or a car, Mercedes car, I can see how it helps me not to get attached.
Yeah.
How to use it with people?
Same.
Create compassion.
Yeah, same. Same. Only thing is people are more complicated. So you have to be extra careful. Yeah, because the emotions are so strong with people, Demand may be more, Cars don't make any demand, they don't have any emotion, So people and sentient beings, especially human beings, you have to be very careful. So therefore we say, when it comes to making connection with human beings, it should be like your connection to the fire. If you sit too close, it will burn you. If you stay too far away, especially in winter, you will not get the warmth, you see. That's important. Okay? And then also make a clear distinction between your unconditional love and attachment. Sometimes we have strong attachment and thinking this is my unconditional love. No. That's not easy. Yeah. Okay? Any other questions? Yes? Huh? These ideas from the mind? This mind comes from the previous mind. Yeah. So according to Buddhism, we don't believe in a permanent soul. Because when we say we don't believe in a permanent soul, then the next question they ask is, okay, then what goes to the next world? Our answer is, what goes to the next world is the mind. The mind is not permanent, but it is the continuity. The stream that goes. It keeps on changing depending upon what circumstances and conditions you encounter, and then goes. Collecting with it all the wisdom, all the knowledges and things like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh. Yes. Yes, madam. Huh? How do you get rid of anger? Get rid of anger. You get rid of anger by thinking you are so beautiful. If you get angry, you will become ugly like this. You want to get ugly? You want to get ugly? So? Yeah. Yeah. Yes, yes.
Geshe, when I've read one interpretation of the Four Seals that says the second one is all emotions are painful. And if that's
All what?
all emotions
Oh.
are painful. It didn't just say
All emotions are
painful.
painful. No.
And if that's so, does that mean that, of course we know negative emotions are painful, but is that sort of the suffering of change, that if you have a positive emotion, there's going to be a time when it changes because everything changes and that it will, you can't really cling to it?
Yeah, different translators use different words. So it is dependent upon what do you mean by emotion. But according to my understanding, emotion, when we say emotion, is not necessarily negative emotion. Compassion is an emotion, right? So they are positive emotions. Now the only thing that is related to this question, I would say, is, for example, in the case of compassion also, when you develop compassion thinking, how nice if I am able to remove the sufferings of all sentient beings. When you develop this mind, you get a little bit of uneasiness. I cannot call it pain, but a little bit of disturbance, a little bit of uneasiness. But this uneasiness is totally different from the pain that you get by developing attachment. Because when you develop attachment, anger and hatred, you are disturbed right from the very bottom of your existence, your thinking. When you develop compassion, you develop it voluntarily with reason. So you may have some concern, and because of this, on the surface there may be a little bit disturbance and care and concern, but deep down it's like a huge ocean, having some ripple on the surface, but deep down calm and peaceful.
So happiness falls into that category too, if we are supposed to be relieving.
Now when you say happiness, there are so many, what level kind of happiness? There are contaminated happiness, uncontaminated happiness. Contaminated happiness, yes, produces painful. But uncontaminated happiness don't produce pain. So there are so many different levels. Yeah. Yes.
Thank you for coming. Looking at the wheel of life,
Yeah.
it is understandable that all the six realms
Yeah.
lead to some kind of suffering.
Yeah.
And the way to feel, way is to liberate
Yes,
ourselves.
yes.
But then, in this human life, there are so many beings that largely live their life happily, more or so. Some of them, largely happily, they don't feel the need to liberate. Is it really necessary to feel the need to liberate?
People think like that. People think like that. You reminded me a talk that I gave in the Thomas Merton Monastery in Kentucky when I was a student, many, many years back. I was talking something about suffering and something like that. Then there was a young lady, with heavy cosmetics on her face. She like, why are you talking about suffering? I have no suffering. So then, you know what I said? I said, good luck. That's what we want. You see? But to answer your question, we mistake facsimile happiness as true happiness. And in most of the cases, as I said right in the beginning, we are talking about pleasure, not happiness. Pleasure and happiness are totally different. Pleasures are mainly of the senses. Happiness is of the mind. Now the problem, this is a good question, because the problem with us is we are completely engrossed with the 5 or 6 sensual objects. And I have been telling people this is how the big malls sprang up. If you visit a big mall, the first floor is scents. Next floor is, you understand, huh? Televisions, form. The next is touch, clothes. The next is restaurants, taste. Next is CD, DVD, music, These malls are constructed according to our need. And this is explained in Abhidharma a long time back in the Buddhist text. And I was to connect these two after visiting a mall, Oh, it's all here, It's all there. And then especially, not only the mall has, is constructed according to our sensual needs, but once you enter inside the mall, there are many more enticing things. Things are arranged so beautifully, and then it says, buy one free. So many things are there. Then you suffer from what we call as market intoxication, or market coma, shopping coma. Shopping coma. You see? And clear indication is that when you enter inside, there are many people going inside, everybody is now in coma. And then there is a peg of basket lying there, and the fellow who goes before you takes one basket, probably not knowing what to buy, what not to buy. Anyway, she has to take a basket. And you also follow suit, you take a basket. And you can't just keep on going around with the empty basket. Then you see, buy one free, you put one there. One thing, oh, I don't need, maybe I give it to my friend, whatever you end up. And then finally the so-called shopping is done, you go to this stupid machine, and you give this stupid plastic card, and you have no idea how much money, many of us, some may have, many of us have no idea how much money is there in your plastic card. And the machine does its job, pulls all your money, and then you say, thank you very much, okay. Then so-called check out, and then put it in your car and reach your home, unpack everything. Why the hell I bought this one? You see? And I read this in a book, in an article about the shopping coma, and then later on I was reading a very old Buddhist text. It also says the same thing, market intoxication. In big markets, people forget about other things. People even lose their children, because we are lost, you see. So the point that I'm making is that today the whole world is lost in these 5 sensual objects. Everybody is running. Everybody says, I'm busy. It's not important you are busy. Important thing is, what are you busy about? You are busy in the pursuit of these sensual objects. And Mahatma Gandhi said there is enough for everybody's need, but not enough for everybody's greed. And it is greed that is destroying the planet today. Look at the amount of pollution in big cities like Delhi. Air pollution, water pollution, it's not just Delhi, everywhere in big cities. And who created this big pollution? No tiger, no lion, no snakes, but the so-called intelligent human beings produce this pollution. Right? And this pollution there because we have this unchecked greed. I want more, I want more, I want more. The business people, know your weakness, so they keep on producing, with the plastic package, whatever, we are suffocating the whole environment. Right? And COVID-19, all this is a result of our unchecked greed and our misadventure with animals. Almost like 50% of our human, illnesses come from our misadventure with animals. Things like that. Right? Yeah. Yes? Huh? Yes. Yeah. Like, for example, the shunyata we are talking about is permanent, not impermanent. All the abstract phenomena. For example, in grammar we study, some of the abstract qualities. Whiteness. Whiteness, like emptiness, is permanent because it's just abstract concept, It is not conditioned. Okay? Yeah, whoever, yeah. You already asked one question, right? Yeah, then the next one, yeah.
I'm curious
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, now this is important because I don't know how much exposure you have with the Buddhist studies. Non-self does not mean there is no self. Self, of course, is there. That was my point. Things exist. You exist, I exist, self exists. Right? But the way you, I, and all the rest of phenomena exist is we exist by depending upon other factors, causes and conditions. So therefore there is no self, no I, which has independent existence, which is not dependent on causes and conditions. So therefore when we talk about no self, we are talking about having no such self which is not dependent on others. Those that are dependent upon others, that kind of self is very much there, yes. Yeah. Yes, yes, yes.
To follow up on this topic of happiness and greed,
Yeah.
I struggled with how to relate to desire because it seems like there's some amount of like a desire that's helpful for life,
Yes.
orientation, and
Yes.
feeding oneself.
Yes,
And
yes.
I feel like almost my attachment to, oh, I'm not greedy, I'm not consumerist, I'm not going to buy these things, almost makes me too tight. Like, so I'm curious if you could speak about
Yeah, of course, when you translate a word from one culture which has its baggages into another culture which has its baggages, sometimes there may be misunderstanding. So the words we use, like attachment, desire, may have different connotation in different contexts and different languages. But basically when we say don't have attachment, we say don't have attachment, reduce attachment, but we are not saying don't have desire in Buddhism. Because when we talk about desire, there is a positive desire, negative desire. Positive desire we need, the desire to become Buddha, the desire to be happy, Nobody can stop you. So if you have money, buy things, enjoy, who can stop you? But again, as I said, unless you follow the middle way, and if you pamper yourself, you see, then this will not help you.
if you're feeding yourself and taking care of yourself with a higher intention.
Higher intention, not necessarily just benefiting others, but even taking care of your own health. Because you have money, you consume all kind of things, and especially eat junk food then. Right? Yeah. So be temperate. That's the word, I think. Have moderation, yeah, in everything. Yeah.
I understand that you were an interpretator for the Dalai
Who said? Somebody told you? The bird somewhere there. Okay, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
I understand you're an interpretator for His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and I'd like you maybe to tell like one profound thing that you've learned in your experiences. 17 years ago,
Yeah, around 60 to 70 years, yeah.
is there something that stood out you'd like to...
I'm like a stone in the water,
Sorry?
Stone in the water. If you put a stone in the water, it will not get drenched. On the surface, maybe a little bit water. So like that, I may have worked with His Holiness for long, but it's difficult for me to say, oh, I was transformed completely, Because it's very difficult to tame your unruly mind. But having said that, yes, unknowingly you picked up so many good things, right? For example, I would not respect His Holiness by saying he's the emanation of the compassionate deity, Avalokiteshvara, things like that. I would respect him more because of his humility. Somebody who is respected by millions of people, but still very humble, down to earth. That means he cares about others. So these are, for example, more important for me than believing that he is reincarnation of this, that, deity, and things like that, right? And he has committed his life in whatever way to help others, reduce people's suffering. What else you want, you see? That's the thing. No discrimination about people, country, nation, including the Chinese, whatever, Whenever he sees people saying bad things against him, doing wrong things, he would say, oh, poor thing, oh, poor thing. He feels concerned, he's never angry or anything like that. So that's amazing. Yes. Yeah. Yes.
As non-Tibetans or maybe even not practicing Buddhists, how do we incorporate some of these lessons into our lives so that into our secular life without feeling that maybe we're appropriating or something like facade?
Yeah, as far as the perennial philosophy or universal messages of Buddha's teaching is concerned, it's applicable to everybody. So you, for example, if you practice the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, you don't have to hang on to the Tibetan cultural clippings, like sticking out your tongue, which they used to do before, and the Chinese are making fun of it. It has its own beautiful story. But then also in Tibet, when we were in Tibet, we used to, Tibet being a cold climate, you used to wear, fur-lined, thick, jackets, things like that, which you don't have to wear here, So some of these cultural clippings are redundant, you see. When we change climate, change place, you change things. But there are core values, like compassion, applicable to everybody. Patience, applicable to everybody. Universal brotherhood, sisterhood, you see. So at the core, we are all same. Wanting happiness, not wanting suffering. So it's important to, that's why His Holiness, of course, when he's requested to give a teaching, Buddhist teaching, he gave a Buddhist teaching, but otherwise for the benefit of the majority, he talks more about the secular ethics, universal ethics, which is not based on any particular religion. This is important. Before you say, I'm a Buddhist or I'm a Christian, you should have this human decency, basic human norms of kindness, cooperation, harmony, easy to deal with. Those things must be there. But unfortunately, sometimes we call ourselves as a Buddhist practitioner, then later on you become very arrogant. You don't even have the basic human decency, things like that. So that is a little bit hypocrisy. So I always tell people, think globally, act locally. Help the people around you. Then talk about peace of the world. If you keep on talking about the peace of the world, never care about your roommates and neighbors, It's easy to talk about world peace. The problem is the next door neighbor. Okay? How come? It's too long for me to understand. Huh?
Someone is feeling guilty.
Okay.
Because their niece, they have the niece has everything in her life, but the niece is playing with another child who doesn't have anything.
Yeah. Anyway, I think I got the essence. There is a saying, when you see the sentient beings afflicted by karma, the result of karma, this is supposed to have been said by Buddha. Ananda, when you see sentient beings afflicted by suffering, do not lament. When you see sentient beings afflicted by suffering, don't lament. This is not to say don't take responsibility, don't show concern, but it is for practical reasons you cannot solve the problems of everybody. Do you have this statue of Avalokiteshvara, 11-faced? Here? No. So we have a statue of Avalokiteshvara with 11 heads. The story goes like this. That deity of compassion, Avalokiteshvara, made a promise saying that I will remove sufferings of all sentient beings. So every day he delivers many from their suffering. Next day he goes, he finds similar amount waiting there. He helps all of them, goes there, next time again more, not less. So he continues to do like that, and then he gets completely like, today, these days we call about emotional fatigue or something like that. So he was completely tired, said, I give up, it's impossible to solve the problems of all of these people. Because he broke this big promise, his head split into 11 pieces. The story says, it may be symbolic. Then the Buddha Amitabha, he comes and says, my son, my spiritual son, don't break your promise, don't get discouraged. I will always be there with you. Continue your practice, cultivate bodhicitta. Then he brings these 11 pieces together, and from which makes 11 head. On top of which you will see the head of the Buddha Amitabha. So this is not to say that, give up your compassion or bodhicitta, things like that, but for practical reasons. You will not be able to solve everybody's problem at one go. Even Buddha could not do that. If he had done that, now we should not have any problem. Right? But this does not mean to say you cannot minimize their problem. Right? So that's the point. That's the point. Yeah. Yeah. Good. So we stop here with this message. Yeah. You are very good. I was waiting for an exit point. So, the last message, takeaway message is, whatever may come in your life, be always happy. This is important, because when you are happy, you can solve all problems. All right? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Geshe Lhakdor. Always.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Geshe Lhakdor. Please come back very, very soon, and thank you so much.
Oh, I thought she was going to say, please come back for dinner or something like that.
Now we have beautiful cake. I don't want to make them jealous. Thank you so much, Geshe Lhakdor, for joining us in this very special time, Days of Miracles.
Thank you.
Wonderful. And Geshe Lhakdor comes back very soon
In
in
May.
April.
May.
In May.
Oh.
No, we changed around, Geshe Lhakdor.
Oh, yeah,
to April.
April, yes.
For a course on the Four Seals and Lama Tsongkhapa's three principal aspects of the path.
Yes.
So if you got a taste and you liked it, then please come back for that. Thank you so much, Geshe Lhakdor.
Thank you very much, everybody. It's now 4:50, so you have about 40 minutes of break until your 5:30 meditation. So please enjoy the sun, have some tea and relax, and come back at 5:30 for the session with Venerable Tsomo to meditate